Mule with it. Wood's got round the back. And Richie Wood has done it again. The magic man has come up with another trick. Well, here's a chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly. Rotherham United's pathway back to the championship is opening up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast, and we should be talking about the game at Coventry, but instead we're going to spend half an hour talking about the pitch, whose fault it was, because why not? Thankfully, we do have a game to preview. We are going to look ahead to the game that's building up to be the game that nobody's interested in, the Port Vale game in the League Cup on Wednesday. I'm sure you can all feel mixed excitement coming through your ears.
Come on.
And he'll be even happier when I tell him what referee is as well.
No.
We'll come on to all that nonsense. We have full house. We've got Mick. Hello, Mick.
Hello, you're right.
Benjamin's back with us in his yellow shirt.
Yes. And
Danny's back with us as well in his retro shirt. Hello, Danny.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah, we're all right, I think. Let's get through the complaining part, because this is quite a lot to unpack, to be honest with you. But first of all, we will start by saying a big shout out and thank you to our sponsor for this episode, Athletic Green, who help out with daily nutritional, as we say. AG1, which is their sort of drink that they help with. AG1 is they call it a small micro habitat with big benefits. You do it one a day, and it takes a massive benefit to you. And as Mick always says, Mick, it's a big benefit.
Absolutely. Except for COVID, like I say. I must reiterate that. It doesn't cure COVID.
Okay, brilliant. It also supports better sleep quality and recovery, which is obviously very, very important recovery as well. So yeah, we love Athletic Green. So thank you very much for them for helping us out with the making of the episodes. And to make it easy, Athletic Green are going to give everybody who purchases a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with the first purchase. All you have to do is go to athleticgreens.com/Rotherham and allow you to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Thank you very, very much. Very, very, very much.
What an absolute deal that is.
I know. What is not a great deal is the fact that Coventry don't own their stadium, which has some repercussions, as it turns out. So we recorded on Thursday, and at the time we knew there were problems with pitches, with the pitch itself. We didn't know how bad, to be honest with you. I think we all assumed the game was going to go on, and that it would just be a bit of a poor quality game. Danny, basically less than 24 hours after we started recording, the murmurs started coming out that there could be a serious problem in terms of the game going ahead, and it played out that way. No game deemed unsafe by the referee, the pitch.
Yeah, I had the privilege to talk to Radio Coventry before, previewing the game on Saturday morning, with none other than a friend of the podcast, Mr. Ben Pringle, which was a bit of a surprise when they introduced it. But yeah, even they were talking about how bad the pitch was, and I think on either Friday or Saturday they had an unofficial inspection, and that referee deemed it unfit. And yeah, then Saturday at 6:00, officially unfit. It looked a little bit better in the official pictures that they released, but then when you had the zoom ins, it's like it was just going bare in the middle of the pitch, and there were a few divots about that were better suited as foxholes, really, because there were just deep divots in the pitch. And after looking at all the pictures, yeah, you can't really play on that. If the pitch is dry, then you might be able to get away with it, but when you've got ankle breaking divots, you just have to call it off, really. It's a shame, but it's all sorts of drama, really, on Coventry's end to do with Wasps and the EFL. And unfortunately, we've just been wrapped up in it, and it's cost us playing on Sunday. But, it turns Preston into the first proper away day.
True.
Ah, well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, this is obviously mainly Coventry's problem. This is a problem they've got to deal with for the next 23 league games plus however many cup games they deal with. But it obviously has a knock-on effect, Mick. You've got people. This is the first away game of the season, which meant more people would have been going to Coventry had this been in February or October or anything like that, because it's the first away game. You get travel coach companies losing out on cash because the coaches aren't going to go. You get people paid of train fares, and some people might not be able to get a refund. Some people have paid for pre-parking, unlikely to get a refund. And because the next game will be in a midweek game, there's less chance that they'll be allowed to go. So it's just an absolute pig and a pain. I know it's unavoidable, but at the same time, it's really frustrating. And at a time when people can't afford to be losing out on money, a lot of people are going to lose out on money.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first question is it unavoidable? And I think that's probably the key question. But you look across social media and everybody is annoyed about it. Rotherham fans, obviously, Coventry fans, obviously, Coventry management, obviously. If you dig a little bit deeper, Wasps fans also not happy about it. Everybody is not happy about it. So the question, like I say, was it unavoidable? Well, it's not unavoidable, is it? It's definitely not, because they knew in plenty of time, whoever they are, that these games were going to be played in the Commonwealth Games on the run-up to the season. If the Commonwealth Games had a lease on the stadium till the 14th of August, that already overlaps the first 2 weeks of the season. So it was known that this was going to be an issue. It was known a long time ago. So it's a bit embarrassing for Coventry City Football Club, and I personally don't blame them necessarily for this. It's not their fault. It's not their ground. They have no sort of nothing they can do in terms of trying to make the pitch playable. It's just a shambles. It is an absolute shambles. But who's to blame? I don't really know, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I'm not one for letting EFL off the hook, but I don't know. Is it their fault? Go on, Ben. Tell us. I don't know.
We'll delve into Ben. What are your just general thoughts before we delve in a bit more technical in detail about it?
Who called it off? Who makes
referee.
The decisions? The referee.
I think it was the referee who was scheduled to ref on Sunday. So an unofficial inspection was taken on Friday by a qualified referee. He deemed it unsafe to play, but basically allowed 24 hours to fix it. And then the Sunday referee came down and, from my understanding, did a proper inspection.
How bad is it if you can't play football on it? How bad is it?
The problem seems to be is that Danny says there's divots all over at shop, and it's dry, so dry. And people compare it to the Wednesday thing where there was lots of sand, but it wasn't hard. It wasn't so hard that you could just roll your ankle and there you go. It was that was obviously a very soft pitch because the sand helped it out. This was, from my understanding, was rock solid. And I assume they've sprinkled it for 48 hours straight, and it's still not helped with to.
How is that? How is that physically possible?
Not a groundsman. I don't know.
It can't be physically possible. Sure, physically, scientifically, that can't be possible. For me, play a game at whatever pitch, but if referee don't want to, if referee don't want to do what referee don't want to do, what does it?
It's a safety issue, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but. Football's a safety issue. Sports is a safety issue. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's all right saying that. But if we ended up playing them and I don't know, Dan Barlasser rolls his ankle, snaps it, and he's out for season because pitch were dry and there were bubbles all over the place, we'd be singing a different tune. You'd be singing a different tune then.
Well, I wouldn't because you accept that fact that when you play sports, that could happen. If you don't want to roll your ankle, don't play a game. If you want to opt out of the game, you opt out.
That's why we didn't play a game.
I think
I wouldn't. I'd say I wouldn't opt out of the game. I would be annoyed because I would want to play regardless of.
Yeah. Oh, I get that.
Play. So I don't get why we can't play then.
Because it was likely to damage people.
I think it's the right decision. Personally, looking at it, the right decision to call it off. I don't think the decision to call it off is in question. Personally. but the decision to play however many games of rugby on it in the 2 weeks on the run up to the start of the season is the questionable decision.
How can they play rugby on it then?
Well, the stadium's owned by Wasps Rugby Union.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's that bad, why can't we play football? If they can play rugby on it, why
it's
can't we play
bad
football?
because they played rugby on it. So they played
surely
something
the
like
last
that.
game-
That was like something like 67 games in 3 days, Danny, something like that of the Commonwealth Games. Am I right in saying? Something crazy.
Yeah, they played the entire group stage through to gold medal, and then they had the rest of the ranking games as well. So I think it came to about 65 if you include the women's tournament as well, which is an absolutely insane amount of games to play on it, in even in space of a week. It's legit the volume of traffic that's done the pitching. It's not the drainage or the weather or anything. It's just volume of traffic. It's like look at Rodney Parade, for example. They host the football and the rugby, and that pitch looks damaged all the time, really. Now, if you condense those 2 seasons into the space of a week, no wonder the pitch is completely screwed. I mean, one thing would be where other venues explode to lighten the loads on the CBS Arena. Could they have split it between 2 venues potentially? Or like we alluded to, they knew there'd be the overlap. Why didn't Coventry apply to have the first 3 games away, for example, like Sheffield United did with the Women's Euros? But yeah, it's a bad situation.
Yeah, it is. So to let FM is not seeing the statements, it Wasps of living Coventry being essentially Wasps in the EFL. The story goes that the Commonwealth Games have exclusivity on the stadium, exclusive tenancy of the stadium until the 14th of August. Now, I'm not sure why, because they've finished. But anyway, they did have exclusivity on the stadium until the 14th of August. Then the EFL and Coventry seem to have decided that they are still going to try and play the games there during that period where technically Coventry aren't tenants, I suppose, technically, for that period of it. Yeah, if for me, it depends on it, because the story goes. I've spoken to a Coventry podcast. They said there was talk in the close season that they were going to reverse the fixture, and then it wasn't. Now we don't know who's made that decision, because they do allow it. Danny's already mentioned they did it with Sheffield United. They've done it loads of times for numerous different reasons for different clubs, where they have allowed essentially 3-away games on the road at start of season for exceptional circumstances. So why not this search? That strikes me as it's come from Coventry. I don't see why the EFL would stop that. That feels like a Coventry decision, a club decision, obviously.
It does feel that way, doesn't it? There would be no reason, had Coventry asked the question, that you could see that the EFL would say no. So the question is, did they ask? If they didn't, then it's down to them. Yeah. If they did, and the EFL said no, then there needs to be some sort of clarity on that, I guess. But ultimately, the bottom line is that as of 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock last night, nobody outside of Rotherham and Coventry cares. They're not interested. No. The EFL don't give a monkeys. Nobody cares. Wasps have got all the money that they needed from hosting this from the Commonwealth Games, so they're happy. It's just Rotherham fans, Coventry fans, Rotherham United FC, Coventry City FC are the ones that are left fed up and annoyed about it. But outside of that sort of cohort, nobody else gives a monkeys, do they? Nobody cares.
No.
So nothing will be done about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, Twitter cared for about half an hour yesterday, laughing because somebody had a game called off in August. That's about the extent of the caring, isn't it?
I'm saying nobody. I'm saying that nothing will happen about it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see EFL sanction Coventry for it.
Yeah,
Coventry will have received a fine for a game being called off within 48 hours. I think that's how it works. I think it's you've been naughty, fine, 48 hours. It's a bigger fine within 24 hours, and I think it's within 2 hours that it's classed as a forfeit. I think so. Then, if it was say, for example, if Coventry had called it off at at 2 o'clock on Sunday, well today,
Mm.
then they would have forfeited it, and we would have got the 3 points in the quote unquote walkover. But yeah, Coventry will have got a heavy fine purely for postponing a fixture that was deemed playable at the start of the season. But with the whole backstop thing, it's like, yeah, the EFL took some responsibility for it, but Wasps must have assured Coventry that it would be ready, or else they would have applied to the EFL to reverse the fixture, or etc. etc. So the ground staff who work under Wasps must have had some sort of assurance given to Coventry that the pitch would be ready, or else we wouldn't have left it so late. But see, this is the issue when you ground share. This is the issue when you're a football club that don't own your own stadium, and it's not a dig at Coventry or anything, because a few clubs are like that. But you're always depending on somebody else, and it's not in your hands how the pitch is. And unfortunately, Coventry's just been done over by it, and they'll have been punished financially on an already tight budget, like the Coventry podcast said that they're on. So I actually feel sorry for Coventry to be put in this situation. Like with us, we've had experiences with drainage and the weather calling games off. With Coventry, it's effectively somebody else's fault that they can't play their football, which is a real shame for both their club and the fans. So my sympathy goes to them more than anything.
Yeah. We've experienced it, Ben. We've been there at Don Valley when you two ruined half a pitch, and it genuinely took 2.5 seasons to repair the problems. Now, you've got to question why it took so long, but at the same time, we had so many games called off that season because the pitch was just knackered and it was just dead grass for 6 months. They could have the same problem if they don't relay it as soon as possible. They're going to have the same problems for the rest of the season.
Yeah, obviously they've got 23 home games in a year. I'm guessing the next one is in 2 weeks. I think
they're meant to be playing it Cup this week at home.
Their next game is Bristol City at home on Tuesday.
So if their next 3 home games get postponed, whose fault is it? Do Coventry then get the fine?
Yeah,
unfortunately, they should. Yeah.
It's just sport. It's just awful, isn't it? It's just a bad situation. It's just a bad situation for them to be in, an unlucky situation. But this is, like you said, this is what happens when you don't own your own stadium. And that's not a dig, because like Danny said, there's a couple clubs like it, but it does come with problems.
It's also what happens when you have rugby played on your football pitch.
Yeah.
And the two don't mix. They just don't mix.
It's not just rugby, is it? I mean, do you remember them years ago when NFL played at Wembley and then England played at Wembley? And it was just ruined. Yeah. It's just one of those things. John Morrell says the only ones that are happy is Wasps and the owners of the stadium, and they got paid a wedge for hosting the tournament. Yeah, they get paid a couple of million for redoing, I think, the entrance to the stadium, and then for the pleasure of hosting as well. So Wasps will be buzzing.
Yeah, they won't care, will they? They don't care about Coventry. Oh, good one.
Thank you, Ben.
Looking through some of the Wasp supporters' tweets, it would appear that things are not as they should be within that organisation as well. It looks like they're struggling financially.
I mean,
that's a story in itself, isn't it?
They're a London club. Wasps it's London Wasps that's the club. So why are they playing in Coventry? They should be, I don't know, like at Chelsea's ground, for example.
They can't afford that, though, can
London club. Yeah, that's a good point. Or at Brentford's before they signed with whichever club they share it with. It's a very puzzling situation, and it's led to Coventry leaving that ground, I think, twice already.
Yes.
And like I said in the article, they actually signed a 10-year agreement with Wasps where they'd put football first. Now, within the space of those 10 years, yes, they've been selected to host the Commonwealth Games around Birmingham. But if, like we've said before, if they'd have known there'd been an overlap, surely someone from Wasps would have said to Coventry, by the way, there's going to be an overlap if you need to sort out your first few home games whenever calendar gets released. But nothing's happened. So it's like, have Wasp even told them? Have Coventry acted on it? We don't know the inside out of everything, like, but it's just very, very puzzling. There's a lack of communication somewhere, and I think it's purely because Wasps don't like Coventry sharing the stadium, but they have to share the stadium so Wasps have more money coming in. I think that is the long and the short of it from an outside perspective anyway. That's what I think it is. Yeah,
it seems like a mutual dislike from Coventry and Wasps, understandably as well, to be honest with you. And I do wonder if this is maybe a bit of a power play that Coventry were assured that the pitch would be ready, knowing we all know it wouldn't have been, even if it had been a bit better, it still wouldn't have been a good pitch. So I wonder if it's Coventry just sort of pushing back against Wasps to sort of say, right, you said we're going to be ready, and this is a push against. So I don't know. That wouldn't surprise me though.
It were never going to be ready. Let's be fair.
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
It's never. I say it's rugby. It's just. It's a different sport completely. It's going to tear the field up. It's just, yeah. If Coventry are, like you said, if Coventry are, they said it's ready. They said it's ready, so we think it's going to be ready. Then they deserve that fine because they should know that it's not going to be ready. They should use some sort of their brain to realise that it's not going to be ready. Anyone with half a brain will realise it's not going to be ready.
Up to standard of day one of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, it's never up to the standard of walking on. You know what I mean? Rugby pitches after use are not nice fields.
And after 67 games or 60 games plus.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I mean, it's...
Wow.
I feel sorry for Mark Robbins. The first time he saw the pitch was on Friday. I bet you he blew his top when he saw how bad that pitch was. Yeah. But again, why is the football club only seeing it on Friday? 48 hours before the fixture's actually played. Why is that the first look they've got at it?
Yeah.
This goes back to the miscommunication thing. But anyway, I hope it's sorted soon for him.
Yeah. Nandi says Coventry have a meeting on Monday. They were probably asking for compensation, according to their chief exec. Rotherham weren't mentioned. It seems as we don't play on the floor, it doesn't concern us. Yeah. I'd like to see something done. There should be some sort of compensation package for fans that have I assume there will be refunds. There normally is for these type of things. For tickets, will there be other stuff? Don't know. I hope, but I do not hold my breath on that situation. In terms of the rearrangement of the games, there are only 3 spare midweeks between now and the start of the World Cup, because you've got to take in the League Cup midweek games and the international break that's the end of September as well. So we're already on a pretty tight schedule to fit these games in.
It's like the COVID season all over again.
Yeah, it's already a tight season, and the last thing we needed then after the 2 seasons we had, because last season we were also congested. The last thing we needed was just to have to rearrange the first away game of the season. It's just a headache we just really didn't need in this season.
Well, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, is it?
We've now lost a rest week during the season.
Okay. Okay, we've done that you said we've done that 2 years in a row. What's the difference? I mean,
one of them sent us down, so that's that.
Yeah, but what we did, it didn't send us down. Poor officiating and playing poorly sent us down. The one where in COVID,
I think playing 30 games in like 20 days, but yeah.
Well, we can get through that. We did that. So what's one? It's midweek. They're professional. You're sounding like Jurgen Klopp. Oh, we can't play 2 games in a week. It's 90 minutes of football. People can play 90 minutes of football twice in a week. It's not going to kill them. I know sports scientists they'll be dying over this, won't they? But you can play 2 games in a week.
You can, but you shouldn't have to do it for the entirety of the season.
Yeah, but so what? Who cares? It's 2 games of football. If you can't do it, then how unfit are you? What's all this technology that you're spending loads on these?
We're going around this again. It's not that they can't do it. It's that they can't play at 100% if they're playing so much. That's the problem.
You can if you want.
And we have. It's not like we've got a massive squad that we can lean back on. Is my point. Make any more sense?
Listen. There are other sports such as basketball, and I know that's only 60 minutes. I think 60 minutes, 48 minutes. I think it's 48 minutes. That's only 48 minutes. But sometimes they play back to back. Sometimes they have 4 games in a week.
Well,
Four
if it's
games in a
half
week.
the time, that makes sense.
But back to back. The adrenaline of game day, even if you
Anyway.
don't play, is tiring. So we can play 2 games a week, to answer your question.
We can, yeah. We shouldn't have to.
If not, we'd get Mick to get his boots, get in there.
I think in basketball they're not running 2 kilometers over a football pitch, though, are they?
No, but they
Like-
play off.
like-
They play attack and defense. So it is a hard. It is.
So-
It's more.
Oh.
It's more. It's so condensed. It is
Yeah,
so
the
tiring.
distances and sprints, I don't know, but I would imagine their stats are less running lengthwise,
but the
and less
point is you can play
sprints-wise.
2 games of football. And if you can't, you should
With
get professional
basketball,
And that's roll on,
it's
roll off.
it's more explosive speed rather than endurance. And like you say, if you play 2 games in a week, Ollie Rathbone, for example, could be running 4 kilometers in a week, like with 2 days recovery between games, which is insane for anybody. I think, apart from marathon runners.
With more than 4 kilometres.
But yeah, but it's like you say, for now, it's 1 game, so we shouldn't really stress.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But if we get another 3 called off before the World Cup, then we're potentially getting in the realm of being in trouble. You know,
It's unlikely that that's going to happen, though, ain't it? Let's be fair. I'm not saying it. Yeah, well, it was, but I mean, somebody could have seen this coming, and I think probably most of us could have seen it coming if we'd known the circumstances of the lead up to it. But pre-World Cup, we're not looking at usually. I don't want to tempt fate, obviously. Usually, though, we're not looking at postponements until you start getting to February, January time is when they generally start to come in. So it's 1 game, like we said, we can fit it in. That's not an issue. That is not the issue ultimately. The issue is why, isn't it? And who's going to be compensated for it, for all the money that's been spent by supporters at both clubs, probably.
Yeah, I know. Nicholas Gower on the alternative theory says we didn't need it, but it gives us a chance to get some players closer who are out for injury, and the respect that works in our favour. Yemic, Tom Eaves is much closer to fitness than he would have been, so he misses 1 less game. So from that point of view, have we got any other injuries? Just Tom Eaves into out, and JJ obviously as well. Yeah, so 2 strikers that are missing Mick. So from that point of view, it's good, but it also gives Coventry time to get their couple of injured players fit as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does. There's no else you can say on that, is there really?
No.
You know, we might have another couple of players in through door by then as well. So, you know, whatever.
Yeah. I don't know if there's all to cover. We've done 27 minutes on a pitch, to be honest with you. I'm quite impressed with that. Anything else you want to cover on the pitch?
it's more than Rotherham did. Way.
Very good. Anything else? Any knock-on effects? Anything else we want to cover from the game itself? From the game that should have happened itself? I think we've covered most of it. Is there anything else I've missed that we want to talk about from it?
I suppose we could talk about there's obviously some other results in Championship which I found quite amusing. Well, one in particular I found very amusing with the Swansea game. Which just made me laugh. Something cruel, because that was just.
Have you seen Russell Martin afterwards?
No, I haven't. Please tell me that he said that they were the better team and should have won.
I'll see if I can find an article for you, some quotes. It's basically kicking off saying that the way they played was the right way to play, and it's essentially not their fault.
They lost 3-0, didn't they?
They lost 3-0. Yeah. Yeah. If anybody's not seen a Blackburn Rovers, I think it's from their TikTok. Swansea put out in the week about Russell Martin did a speech about if you do what this and that, it'll force the opposition to do something, and over that they played the first goal that Blackburn scored, and then he also said that if Russell Martin again said something like, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to force them to run, and at the end they're not going to run anymore, and over that they just played the second 2 goals, the second and third goals. It's really good.
I'll tell you what, TikTok's the future of football. The amount of comedy stuff that's on that is exceptional. I mean, to give him the due, Swansea posted something about Ben Wiles falling over his own feet and then it leading to the goal, which was actually quite funny. But right, Sam Todd, if you're watching, get on TikTok and start posting funny stuff, because Rotherham's TikTok will explode. I'm telling you, mate. I'm telling you.
I can't find an article now. If anybody finds it, it's very funny. Basically, he's complaining that Blackburn Rovers were critical of the way that his team played, the passing style, the possession style. He didn't like that somebody else didn't like his style, basically.
It's going to be a bit of a problem for him, that, isn't it? Because if they keep getting results like they've got, then he's going to have about 16,000 Swansea fans not liking his style and all.
Yeah, they all left en masse, didn't they, as well, which were quite funny. Well before the end of the game. We've nothing against Swansea. I just don't like he's arrogant. I don't like people who say that they know best and everybody else's way is the wrong way of doing it, which is essentially what he does say.
Are you saying you don't like me then?
Why, what way is that? What way is your best way?
I mean, I just say I'm right about referees and everything, and anybody else that thinks differently is wrong.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, fair enough.
I suppose.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he'll not be in a job by December if he keeps going where he's going.
Well, me or him?
Well, let's see how it goes. I watched the first half of the Reading against Cardiff game preparation for next week, and neither of those teams know how to defend. is the only thing I noticed.
Oh, good.
It was 2-1 before half time, and they were both terrible. They were both so bad. I know Reading ended up winning 2-1, but it was just two very, 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 very poor teams. And I think that's what we're going to get, Danny. We're biased because we're Rotherham United supporters, but I've not watched a championship game this season. I haven't watched 25, but I haven't watched one of them and thought, you know what, they're a very good team then. It's been quite a poor start, I think, for each team that I've seen anyway.
I think it's just been an average start, really. There's been nothing really exceptional from anybody, like you say. And there have been a few odd results as well, like, one team beating somebody else that didn't quite expect, To be perfectly honest, I didn't expect Sunderland to win at the weekend, but they've managed to pull it out of the bag. And it does make you think, if Sunderland can pull off those sort of things where they've not improved massively on last season, it's like, where will we be? Like I say with Reading, if they are a little bit Shambolic's a bit strong but uncoordinated at the back, we can exploit that because we press teams into oblivion and we don't stop running for 90 minutes, which made it doubly funny about what Rusty Martin said about forcing him to run. So what happens when the other team just keeps running? Then you're a bit stuck, aren't you? But yeah, it definitely builds the anticipation for the Reading game, because now that you've said that, it's a bit, we could exploit him a little bit. If we stay solid at the back like we did against Swansea, then we could be in dreamland, or we could lose 3-0 because the championship.
Just a normal championship season, then, Danny. Basically for us.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. It's been Birmingham picked up 4 points. Nobody expected that, did they? From 2 games. So
I'm sure John did.
I'm sure he
although,
did.
can I just say, right? Can I just say, Rotherham have more points than Man United this season after 1 game. That's crazy.
Justice. Yeah. Anyway, moving forward, we're going to look ahead to the Carabao Cup first round against Port Vale. Ben, thoughts on it? I always see this game as a bit of almost a glorified pre-season friendly. It'd be nice to get through the second round and maybe get a big tie at home. But at the end of the day, if we lost on Wednesday, I wouldn't be shedding a tear over it.
No, but you still want to win. Carabao, is it? Is that what it's called this year? Carabao.
Still Carabao, yeah.
We're never going to win it. I know we're not going to win it, but it'd be nice to upset some people. I know, obviously, beating Port Vale is not going to upset someone, but we beat Port Vale and we get, except Port Vale. But we beat Port Vale and, I know Premier League teams win it second round, right?
Some of the non-European ones.
Yeah, non-European ones. So it'd be nice to get a Brighton or something like that and upset them. Teams like Rotherham or, someone who think they're very good and they, one of the biggest clubs. Getting Leeds would be nice and beating them. It'd be nice to kind of ruffle some feathers. But yeah, he's friendly in it essentially. Still want to win though.
Yeah. Mick, I assume you're the same. I assume you're less enthusiastic than Ben, which would be difficult, but I think you might be.
Yeah, I am. It is a pre-season friendly, essentially, and it's time to. It gives us the opportunity, particularly after today or Sunday being postponed, to get some match time into players. What we could really do without is a 2-week break between the first game of the season and the second game. So that might now impact on the way Warney sets his team up on Wednesday night. We might see a lot more first choice players getting a run out just to get some more time in the legs. But as far as the game itself goes, I think probably I would think for the vast majority of supporters of probably the vast majority of clubs, it's a nonsense competition, really, isn't it? It's kind of the sort of Premier League Championship version of the Papa John's. It doesn't really float many people's boats, and going away to Port Vale on a Wednesday night certainly does not float mine.
No, I like the League Cup. I like when the first round's at home because you get to see more new players. The fact it's away from home and it's so far away from home on a Wednesday night, and I don't even think it's going to be an eye follow as far as I can tell. So nobody's going to be able to watch it realistically. It's a bit of a shame. Danny, can you find any enthusiasm from your camp?
I'll try. But yeah, I agree with Nick. Really, I think if we'd played today, I think we would have played more fringe players on Wednesday. But now that we haven't had a game, potentially more first teamers will come into it. Potentially we won't see Richard Woods. I think we'll rest him for Saturday, which I think was going to be always going to be the plan, to be honest. But we'll probably see more from Cohen Bramall, Peter Kyoto, and possibly Georgie Kelly as well, and probably give a debut to Scott High as well in the midfield.
True.
Maybe the older centre back whose name I cannot remember. Peltier.
Yep.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Peltier. Yeah. Yep. Good. Probably give a start to him as well. See how he gets on. Just try and see what our options are. I think more than anything. But yeah, like you say, I hope we beat Port Vale and possibly ruffle a feather or two in the next round. Fingers crossed. Anyway.
Yeah. A couple of stat information for you. It's only our second ever meeting in the competition against Port Vale. The last time was in 2005 when we won 3-1 at Millmore. And that was from an own goal. Dion Burton and John Otsemabor. I think his only goal for the club. John Otsemabor. I could be wrong. He didn't play for very, very, very long, did he?
No, I didn't.
But yeah, that was that one. And a sort of mini stat that goes in our favour is that Port Vale haven't won a League Cup game at Vale Park since 2015. So, this is the information. This is what we're going for. Go on, Mick. Go on, put your complaint in.
Why does it go in our favour, that?
Well, they haven't won at home. So
Yeah,
How many have they played though? One. I mean,
It's not the same team.
three or four. About half of the season.
three. If they played 3, right, and they've lost all 3, that's not that big a deal. That's a
still factual.
A misleading stat, just like every other stat.
It's factual.
Yes, but it's also misleading.
It's not misleading, is it?
It is misleading.
That was the last time they won at home in the League Cup.
We haven't won at Millmore in 10 years. It's bad, that, isn't it? We don't play there.
It's more than that.
That's a fact. That's a
more
fact,
than that.
but that's a misleading fact.
Yeah, but you wouldn't bring that stat up unless we were going to play at Millmore again.
Yeah,
But they
but if
are
we were
at
going to
home
play,
in
if
the
we were
League
going to
Cup.
play a tribute game to John Becker or whatever at Millmore, you could say we haven't won in 15 years at Millmore. It's bad,
That
isn't
is
it?
very true. Yeah, but I'm not going to do stats for a friendly game.
Cool. Well, all right, we were playing in a league game then.
Oh, Ben. Yeah. I think we've lost in the last 2 first-round League Cup. We lost Accrington last season and the year before. I can't remember, actually, but I did write it down somewhere. It's gone.
I think Ben's onto something there,
Go on.
You see, if Coventry had kept Highfield Road like we've kept Millmore, they could have just moved it to Highfield Road because we've got a spare ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Just a thought.
Wasn't there new ground built to replace Highfield Road as well? That's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
When it was first built, it was going to be meant to be this major high-tech stadium where what happened was, the plan was that the stadium, the pitch in the stadium, what was the Rico, would be able to drop down and come outside the stadium for it to basically be better. So it could be looked after better, so it's not in the confined space. That didn't happen. Had that happened, had they done that, then the game may have been played. So
I thought you were going to say they were going to have a photocopier on every level or something. Photocopier on every turnstile. And that's out. We're going to be high tech.
No,
Rico,
we're going to be this
some-
big fans. They were in Premier League at the time, weren't they? When they planned
Yeah.
to move out. So, it didn't. It hasn't planned out since they announced the stadium. It's not worked out very well for Coventry, unfortunately for them. So let's go through what we think the change. Maybe we all think there's going to be some changes. Ben, would you expect to see the cup keeper tradition continue? So we'll probably expect to see for Josh Vickers get a start.
No,
Oh.
because the problem with doing that is if you do that and he plays phenomenal, then you've got to start Vickers when that's just unfair to Johansson. That's just unfair.
Well, that did happen in the cup QPR in January.
But let's say Vickers has an amazing game, right? And then gets in league, and then we don't play another cup game till after Christmas. I mean, Johansson's out of team for nothing till after Christmas. No,
but the alternative argument would be is that you've got a very good keeper on the bench not getting minutes in a game, and it's a game that is not priority.
We should have won starting job in training then, shouldn't he?
Okay, fair enough. Mick,
I'd put Vickers in goal. I expect to see Josh Vickers in goal to get some match time. That seems to be what Warney's done over the last few seasons. Is when it comes to the sort of certainly preliminary rounds of cup competitions, he's swapped over the keepers. I anticipate he'll do the same this time.
Yeah, Danny, anything change? Do you agree with Mick or Ben?
I agree with Mick. To be fair, I think now that Vickers has come back from his injury, which is the thing that kept him out of the Papa Johns, I think we're going to play Vickers, get him some proper minutes. And he's I think I'm going to go off a tangent then and say he played against Port Vale before, but that way Victor won it, so that's out the window.
Yeah.
I think we'll start Vickers, get him some minutes, get him match experience in for this season. If he does well and he starts league games, that's no bother to me because we've got two class keepers who are ours, should I say, and we don't have to fulfil appearance quotas or anything like that. So if Vickers does well and we start playing him in the league, Victor's not going to go off in assault. Victor will just support him and then vice versa. So yeah, I'm not too fussed who starts, but probably with Vickers.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. How would you see defence, Mick? Because we're going to assume Woody's not going to play just because it's a 2-day gap for Saturday, and we know we've got to manage Woody. Would you expect to see maybe Grant Hall take the centre stage of the back three?
Yeah, you would have thought so, wouldn't you? I don't know what Peltier's preferred side is, to be honest with you. Whether he's got one or whether he would fit in the centre. To me, Grant Hall looks like the type of player that would fit better in the centre of a back three rather than to one side of it. So, I could see Peltier and Hall playing, and possibly even McCart as well. Just to get them all some game time. Why not?
Yeah, I agree. I'd be quite excited to see McCart play. I don't know why, but they would. Harvey Kelwick says he would go McCart, Hall, Peltier, as you just said, Mick. I think that's going to be a popular one. Midfield, Ben. This is where you sort of look at things and how much are you going to change, really, because obviously we've got the standard midfielders we played last time out, but they were playing 2 days later. So you don't want to play full 90 minutes in the engine before a Reading, which is going to be a really, really, really important game. Do you play a Dauphin? Do you play one at Kids? Is Scott I going to make his debut for you? What do you reckon in terms of what would be a midfield three? How much would it change?
I'd play who's not going to play on Saturday. I just play who's not going to play on Saturday because the thing is with the midfield, it's not like we've got someone in that midfield where if they started on Saturday, you'd be like, oh God, I don't want him to start. Do you know what I mean? Like they're all capable of starting. So for me, if you play on Wednesday who's not going to play on Saturday, that's not like too much. That's not going to affect you on Wednesday because them starters on Wednesday are still good enough to be starting on Saturday. Do you know what I mean? So I just play whoever's not going to start.
Okay. Thanks for giving me all those names. That were very helpful. We may even see a first start, Danny, for Georgie Kelly. If Kosh Washington is probably going to play Saturday, he may get his first professional start for the club.
Yeah, potentially. And I think there's no better time to do it than in a cup game for him. Which would have probably been the plan if he hadn't been injured when he picked up an injury when he first arrived. I think he would have probably made his debut in a Papa John's fixture. But yeah, I'd start in Wednesday. And just to branch off from what Ben said, actually add some names to the argument. Probably give Scott High his debut for the Millers. Potentially take Lindsay out and bring Rathbun in because he's back from injury now. Maybe not a Dauphin because he's still nursing a little injury, so we might not risk him for the time being. And then potentially have Wiles in there as well, depending on what formation we decide to play.
Yeah, Wiles seems like one of those that could do those 2 games in a few days or in our Wednesday. Yeah. Nicholas Gamora says, "Is Bowler fit?" As far as I know, Bowler is fit. I think we're looking to loan him out, but this might be a good time for him to get a few minutes under the belt to sort of put himself in the loan window potentially. In terms of who could start for us, let's talk about the transfer news, which sort of cropped up on Friday after we finished. We recorded on Thursday. The striker that Paul Warne's priority, Mick, is happy to come to the club. This is not just the finances haven't been agreed, is basically what's happened. But he wants to come to Rotherham. It's a bit more complicated than I thought it would be, to be honest with you. I assumed it would be all sort of done and dusted, and when he says yes, sign on, dotted line. But it's a good sign that he wants to come. And hopefully we can get this over the line. If it is Ash Fletcher, this would be good to give him half an hour at the end of the game, something like getting minutes under the belt.
I understood it with a Premier League striker that we're talking about here, or from a Premier League club. That was my understanding. But yeah, whatever. Let's just try and get it done. But I'll tell you now, if finances are going to be an issue, whoever the loaning club is, unless they agree to our terms, he won't be coming, and rightly so as well. Frankly, if it is him, he's at Watford, isn't he?
Yes.
So if they don't agree with it, that's fine. We'll move on. So we'll have to wait and see. But it's positive that the player wants to come to us. So we'll just wait and see. Let's see how it all pans out. You never know. You never know. We might be a Rotherham United player by Saturday. Yeah,
hopefully. I haven't seen any other names linked with this, to be honest with you, so he could just be the one that comes through the door. Let's wait and see.
Who knows?
Yeah, let's do a couple of predictions for the Port Vale game, just to annoy Mick.
Cheers.
Mick, you still are technically on 100% still, prediction-wise. Because you got the first one right and there was no second game.
Yeah.
So
there's no technically about it, then I am on 100%, aren't I?
Yeah, but if you want to go by Ben's thing about stats not being fully reflective of the situation.
Do you remember? I just want to say you didn't predict it as well as I predicted the first game of 2
2
seasons
seasons.
ago, or
We're
last
still
season.
going on with that. Are we
That
then?
was because that was you couldn't. That was perfect. It was a perfect
It
prediction.
wasn't
That's
perfect.
why.
I can't
It
remember
was.
with this again. You
It
said
was
either
1-0.
Icky or Robertson would score.
Icky Robertson. Yeah, Tyrone Header at back in. That's what happened.
You
That's
hedged
what
your
happened.
bets. You can't. You
I'm not
don't.
having
You
it.
don't
I'm
get
not having
100%
it.
tick.
I'm not having
You
it.
do not get 100%
That
tick.
that will never be beaten.
I'm
That will
muting him.
never be beaten.
Oh, sorry, Ben.
never
Yeah,
be
you don't go
beaten.
100%, I'm afraid. You don't go 100%. You get very, very well done, but you don't go 100% because you're
Thank you.
hedged.
Well, I'll take it in my book that I will never be beaten.
Okay, moving on. Ben, what is the score going to be on Wednesday night at Port Vale?
2-0. Rotherham.
2-0 the Millers. Okay. Michael?
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 as well. 2-0 Rotherham.
Okay. Danny, you're going to go 2-0?
No, I'm going to go 3-1 to Rotherham.
Well, you stole mine.
Going to be a little
I
bit
go 3-1
ambitious
as well.
with mine, I think. But Ben, I think I might have something that beats that prediction that you're on about. Because during the vlog, I predict with absolute accuracy how Rotherham were going to score, like 10 minutes before they actually did it. Because Harding got a long throw, and I said Harding long throw, Chio gets on it, and we're 1-0 up. 10 minutes later, he does exactly what I said.
Fair enough.
That's my personal blue tick for this week.
Fair enough.
There you go, Ben. You've been topped. Comments. Harvey Kelvick with predictions. Harvey Kelvick 2-0. I'm a player 1-1. Calvick's 3-0. Nicholas Skidmore says 2-1. And Poundmed UK says 3-0. Poundmed UK also says on the positives, we are also still outside the relegation zone with most league playing 2 games. That's a positive. Ben's laughing at that one as well.
I tell you what, take that at 44 games, wouldn't you? Outside relegation zone with a game in hand.
Yeah, because if we've got to play 3 games in that final week.
Oh, yeah. As long as it's not Friday before the last game of the season, yeah.
And John Morell says on your predictions, Ben, even a broken clock is right twice a day. And that's right. Always guaranteed to get one right.
That's very good.
Fair enough. I've never heard that. That's fair enough.
I don't understand Ben's. What Ben has heard. That's a very anyway.
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that before. I know what it means, but I haven't heard anyone say that to me before.
Okay.
First.
What do you understand about that? Did I say it in another language or something?
I'm just surprised that nobody's ever said that to him before.
Oh right, okay.
That's me shock. But you are still fairly young, I suppose. Yeah. Anyway, Danny, any other names for transfers? I've not seen any other names linked with us. It's everything seems to be on this striker. I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. The one rumour that's cropped up that I thought was a little bit odd was that Bournemouth were exploring bringing in a backup keeper, and the rumour was that they put a bid in for Josh Vickers, which I thought was very odd. But apparently there's no truth in it, and it was just pure speculation, or at least it was on a list somewhere. And that's the only thing I've seen this week, really. Other than that, it's gone very quiet. We're probably still exploring the striker, which seems to be moving along nicely, and a midfielder that us at the podcast know the name of, but we aren't allowed to disclose for reasons. But one thing that has cropped up is we've got a young Scottish goalkeeper on trial in training at the minute. Now, in my travels at round hole 15, I thought it was the youth keeper that they promoted up to the first team. Turns out it isn't. It's a young lad from Scotland that we've got on trial, and from how he's been performing with Victor and Vickers, he's been doing very well. But he needs to keep up the tradition of having his initials be J and V, because we've got Victor Johansson, Josh Vickers. We need J and V in his name. I'm just saying, or else it breaks the system.
More importantly, does he have a beard? Because that's also very important. For all people to have beards.
Yeah. I'll have a look this week and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Well, if you come from Scotland, his first name is bound to be Jock anyway, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I don't know whether I can say that or not, actually. We might have to edit that out.
Oh dear, we're in trouble again.
I don't know that one.
Sorry.
Okay. Anything else? Any more news? Rotherham talk, semi-related Rotherham stuff, or have we?
You were going to tell us who the referee was on Wednesday night.
Yes.
It's Bobby Madley.
Oh.
But here is a correction and clarification. Do you know on the first day of the season when Lee Tomlin got sent off?
Yeah.
That was Bobby Madley.
Really?
Yeah,
Impressive.
it wasn't Darren Drysdale. It was Bobby Madley who was the referee. So, soften the blow. You've softened the blow there, haven't we? So
maybe he just had an off night on that Wickham night.
Oddly, in the summer they advertised or told everybody that Bobby Madley had been promoted, hadn't he? He'd been promoted to the Select Group 2 or whatever it's called, which I thought maybe would be now he's a championship referee. But obviously he's referee Donny in League 2 and he's now got stuck with us at Port Vale. So I wonder if he's, again, this is not really, might not be exciting information for everyone that's listening. But yeah, that just struck me as a bit strange, to be honest with you. Don't know.
He last referees against Sunderland, didn't he?
He did referees against Sunderland, and I don't think he didn't do too bad, I don't think. There's a lot of other referees that were a bit
here and there, but...
Yeah, but I imagine how many other referees would have completely bottled it in front of that many fans. We've seen it before where there's a lot of fans, and it was fairly strong on that point of view. Anyway, on the shocking news on that, John Morell says Gavin Ward had a good night refereeing the Birmingham game on Friday.
Listen, if neither goalkeeper ended up in A&E, he's had a good night, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I shall still be in his ribs when he comes down to New York. Don't worry about that. Make no mistake. I've not seen him in person since that Barnsley game, so he's still got some
Victory in ribs again as well.
Yeah. You didn't see him in person at the Barnsley game either.
No, I haven't. That's what I said. That's what I meant.
Okay.
Since that point, he's not refereed one of our games that we've been to.
Yeah, but you didn't see him at that game.
I saw him in person at Ipswich, and I gave him what for from about 60 yards away.
Well done.
If that counts.
Thank you. I have to say, I am definitely one to hold a grudge. Be under no illusion. I am definitely one to hold a grudge. I'm waiting to bump into Michael Massey, let me tell you.
I was just going to say anything in particular, Mick.
Yeah, just stuff.
There we go. Final call for anything else.
Do you want to talk about? Have a quick 2 minutes on the Premier League, the greatest league in the world? No,
I'm not going to talk about it because I sort of enjoyed some of the goals, but
yeah, just
not really.
The refereeing edict of contact is allowed. Except in Premier League, where it's not still.
I don't know.
Well, it's not, is it? It's just there's nothing changed in terms of the standard of refereeing within there. I'll give you the Liverpool penalty, Fulham penalty, for example.
I missed that.
Have you not seen the Wolves Leeds game today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday was it?
Yeah.
I've only seen the Wolves player going down.
Yeah, that is terrible. But have you also not seen where the Wolves goalkeeper absolutely cleans out a Leeds player, and that's not giving a penalty, which is a bit of a shocker. And
yet Mitrovic trips over his own bootlace, isn't that his? Yeah. So listen,
anyway.
The system still works. Everything's the same.
Works is maybe an interesting word to use.
Anyway,
thank you all for tuning in. Please do subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. On iTunes, Spotify, make sure you subscribe on there. Give us a 5-star rating wherever it allows you to do so. We will be back on Thursday where we will be looking back at what we can on the Port Vale game, whatever happens with that one, and looking ahead to the Reading game, which it's early days, which looks like it could be quite a big game for both teams' seasons, potentially. So yeah, thank you very, very much for being involved. Ben, we had a mini argument this time, so that's sort of an improvement from last time, isn't it? Yeah. Other than criticising all my stats, it's gone quite well, hasn't it? Yeah. Thank you. Mick, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, whatever.
And Danny, for anybody who's not watching on YouTube, you've got slowly darker where you are as the episode's gone on, as the daylight has faded from the world. You've got slowly darker in that picture.
Is he still there?
Yeah, it's like my soul. It's like my soul. It's slowly going ever darker. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Sorry if there's been a little bit of delay with me answering questions. I'm on data because I'm at my granddad's at the minute and not at home in my little studio. Well, I'll say studio. It's the dining room with a bit of a flag behind me, and that's it. But yeah, I'm still here. Slightly down, but I'm still here.
You might not understand this, Danny, but so people of a certain age who are listening might that you look like you're about to put on some Joy Division and start to cry from the image I can see at the moment.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Brilliant.
Let's end this podcast quickly.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for being involved, and we'll see you again on Thursday. Thank you very much.
Ravel, vicious, but brilliant! Mule with it, Wood's got round the back, and Richie Wood has done it again! The magic man has come up with another trick! Well, here's a chance to seal it, it's done! It's Georgie Kelly!